Welcome to this episode of YouTube where I've entitled it Mid-February Activity, and certainly that's what's going on here. It is in the wild, probably the peak of the breeding season here in northern Minnesota, and that means we have probably a lot of stimulated interest. We've heard a lot of howling in the last week or two. Those are external stimulated howls, so that means that something on the outside of the enclosure has stimulated them to howl. So Grizzly's been the first to respond from looking at the surveillance video, with the rest of the pack sometimes joining in. But basically here in captivity, we don't breed here. We have actually two different subspecies in the exhibit. Denali and Aden, who are the Rocky Mountain subspecies, and Luna and Bolts, who are the Great Plains subspecies. So it's been our policy since we started in 1989 not to reproduce wolves here, because they're all captive born, and certainly breeding captive wolves every year, you can have quite a surplus of wolves. And we, as again said, we've been here since '89. If wolves on a good, healthy diet can have possibly 6 pups a year, that would be a lot of wolves in captivity. So we chose to not reproduce wolves here, like I said, early in our management. And then when we started managing multiple subspecies, we chose obviously not to mix subspecies that wouldn't occur in the wild. So that means that when we want new wolves, we do acquire them from other facilities, and we're in that process right now of working on acquisition for 2016 pups. And you may notice the wolf care program for planning for pups is up on the website. We have seen an increase in some activity around here, and so here's Luna doing what we call obnoxious submission to Aden. So Aiden's still kind of maintaining his lead as a pack. We have noticed a little intimidation lately because these 2-year-olds seem to be a little rambunctious, and so keep in mind they're 2. That's Luna and Bolts are still 2-year-olds, so they still have a little bit of that juvenile activity, but we are certainly seeing some increased snowfalls, increased, again, activity stimulus outside of the enclosure, and probably a little bit of a hormonal increase within the enclosure. So even though they're spayed and neutered, you still have a little bit of chemical cycling that may stimulate the wolves. So other than that, everybody's doing good. I mean, Luna is active, and there's no doubt keeping up with everybody. Like I said, Bolts is a little bit, showing a little bit of dominance there. Definitely watching any time Aiden's weak or intimidated and trying to take advantage of that. Denali just seems to be socially engaged with those 2-year-olds. Likes to chase. Certainly on the whatever he had earlier in January is over. He's feeling pretty good. So we see a lot of these kind of group-related things. In this particular clip, Luna is on the kind of the receiving end, but Aden is quick to stop and roll Denali over in a submissive posture. So again, Aden is dominant over Denali, and Bolts and Luna are kind of still feeling, especially Bolts, feeling his way into that male rank order. Luna's obviously the only female, so she's set within her rank. But Bolts is looking for some opportunities to not move over Denali, but to take on Aden. So we want to be very, very cautious about any intimidation for Aden, that we don't do anything that makes him a little bit anxious, that might give Bolts an opportunity to move up in rank. Like I said, Denali doesn't seem to be rank motivated. He certainly seems to be socially engaged. He's a tail wagger. He likes to interact. He likes to chase. He likes to submit. Well, he learns to submit. He may not like it. You can see by his tail is still wagging. He's definitely not intimidated by these kind of dominance interactions towards him. Bolts and Denali have a very strong bond, and so Bolts doesn't take out much dominance on Denali. He usually watches Aden do it, and then actually looks for an opportunity for Aden to maybe get a little redirected aggression, and then joins in with Luna on Aden. So like I said, the role of Denali is being one of those that is an instigator of play, and that's not uncommon for lower ranking wolves to kind of show that kind of social behavior. You can always tell when Denali has a little bit too much of it. His tail gets tucked, his hackles go up, and that's a good indication that he would prefer not to be the center of attention. So these do change back and forth, and easily distracted wolves can stop in a short period of time, and that's Luna's got some ice balls in her feet, and that stops her from interacting. And you can see immediately the tail response to Denali comes back up, so that tail tucked is what we call a T4 tail. and then his hackles go down and he kind of goes about his business and investigates something else. So that's the interaction between the pack. We haven't seen any indication that Bolts is going to move up in rank over Aiden, but certainly he's causing Aiden a little bit of social awkwardness, and so Aiden's been kind of on the alert. And Luna continues to ambush whenever she has that opportunity. So we are working on, again, trying to work with calm, submissive animals. We work with the staff to try to get interactions and give the wolves a positive reinforcement for being submissive to staff, so that we can have that opportunity to fully investigate, you know, how an animal's feeling, if there's any kind of injuries, if there's any issues going on. So here's Luna in a calm, submissive state with staff, unfortunately displaying obnoxious submission to Aiden. And you can see quickly how Aiden gets a little overwhelmed with the two of them behind him. And then, as I said, as 2-year-olds, they go and interact with each other in more of that juvenile format. So that's what's going on here. Like I say, a pretty active February. We had a great wolf watch here in the first week of February, and thank those people who observe the wolves and give us a little indication of what's going on. Grizzly, we don't have much footage from him this week. He's been enjoying a couple of deer torsos. We had a little flush extra deer, so Grizzly's been eating a little bit more than the average meals and caching a lot of food from the ravens. So that's it for this week's YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.